you know, do you think, you know, for you personally, since you left Corrie, things have got busier and busier, or not? Or that period for you was,
It's
I
a
imagine,
different
quite
kind
intense.
of busy. It's very different. Yeah, I thought the breaks would come. I mean, I left Corrie for a break. I was very sort of vocal about that, you know.
You were, yeah.
And I did think that the breaks would come naturally. And then, you know, after a year, I realised that wasn't going to happen. I was going to have to put them in myself. Which I did. Like I took January and February off this year just gone. So I'm just going to concentrate on this because then I can never figure them out. Oh, it's that.
Yeah, they're not.
There we go. Yeah, my family's scattered over the world as well, so it's not even just a case of holiday. It's a case of like, you know, I need to actually go and see, you know, my relations and friends, you know, partly to do with, you know, when you go into drama school at 18, you've got a massive bulk of friends that are actors, you know, and international as well. You know, my best friend's Canadian and she's back there, but then also my family we sort of travelled a lot as kids, and my dad's Irish, so I've got a lot of family that are in America as well, and so I just kind of like, I don't really go on holiday, I just go and see people, you know. So yeah, that was.
But that's a nice busy though,
thing.
Isn't it? You know.
Yeah, I wanted to sort of get the balance back in my life really when I left, and I realised that balance wasn't going to come, which I wasn't complaining about, but yeah.
And do you feel you got that back now? The balance.
Yeah, I do now. Yeah, like this, you know, having had that break, I definitely feel, and also I've been good at kind of. I mean, when I first left, I did do filming and theatre at night, which was a real killer, you know. And
Why was that? Did you feel I've got to just hit the ground running?
No, actually, it sort of happened by mistake, really. I signed up to do She Stoops to Conquer at the National kind of 6 months before I left Coronation Street. You know, I was like, I've left for a change and some balance, and you know, I lived in London anyway. I still got my flat in London, and the National to me is like a footballer wanting to play at Old Trafford. You know, I think that's especially on the Olivier stage. So that was all signed up, and then I signed up to do the Kenny Everett biopic for BBC Four, which you know, I just think those biopics are just awesome. And that was supposed to film while I was at the National in rep, but it got put back, and then it meant that it was filming while actually I wasn't in rep. I was just on stage every night. So that was just kind of like, sometimes that just happens.
You got a lot of stamina for that. Did Corrie give you a lot of stamina for the way you work?
I've always had a lot of like stamina, and it, like my family are very sort of, you know, like we're a chilled out sort of bunch as well, but we take a lot of joy in life, and we thrive off having very full lives. Do you know what I mean? I think we're all just very nosy and we all just like to sort of, I mean, honest to God, I wish I had like 47 lives, do different things. Like whenever I sit and chat to somebody about and find out what they do for a living, I'm like, oh, I'd quite like to do that. I'd love to do that for a year. Like we were talking to some friends of ours that are working on the cruise ships, and I'm like, I'd love to work on a cruise ship for a year. Like whatever I'm talking to about people, I always think, like my friend who's a teacher, she's gone back to work, and I was like, I'd like to be. It's everything though. It's really stupid, you know.
I suppose the great thing about acting is you can, can't you?
Yeah, I suppose it's just a thirst for life. So, but no, I have been good, like just doing one sort of project at a time. Really, I think that's how you find the balance. Really, you've got to sort of. And
were you conscious about deliberately trying to push Corrie behind you? You know,
not at all. Like,
you know,
no. I mean, the thing is, I'd worked solidly for 5 years before I went into Corrie. For 5 years. So, and I'd always just got the job pre-Corrie because I was versatile. It was always the hook that bagged me the job in the end. So, for instance, like at the RSC, you know, I had my leading role, my title leading role, but then I had to be in another 3 plays as well, and because it was an ensemble company. So, you know, I could play. You know, I was playing a princess as the leading role, but then I had to, you know, play a shepherdess in one, I had to sing in another. So I've always, you know, that's always been my kind of like hook, really, I guess.
Yeah.
And even in Corrie, that was my kind of hook. You know, I started off, you know, she was very different. There's many different phases to that character.
Of course, yeah.
So, and I guess maybe I just enjoy the variety as well. So, you know, I did leave because I wanted to change, and even within that, you know, like when Mr. Selfridge came along, it was just what I fancied. You know, it was a bit of razzle dazzle, and I really fancied that after 5 years of grit. You know, but then the Guilty came along this year, and I really fancied that because I'd done the razzle dazzle, and I thought I'll do another year of razzle dazzle with Lady May. But I feel like I need I want a bit of, because that's what really makes me buzz. Like, I really enjoy that. But no, it's variety with me, you know, that keeps me sort of going.
Did you ever
That's why I always want everybody's jobs.
Did you ever think when you were at RADA that you would end up in a soap? Did you have any sort of plan at that point? Because
No,
I mean, there can't be that many. Yeah, there can't be that many people that do that route
No,
from
I don't
RADA.
think-
I mean, I don't. Although soap is a great route, don't get me wrong. To making it on television.
I like that though. I mean, when I went to RADA at 18, you know, it was a lot of the girls' and boys' ambition to be at the RSC, and that was never kind of in my, you know, in my sort of. I mean, I'm not like that anyway. I really try and, I have got that sort of Yorkshire practicalness, which is, you know, as an actor, you are at the bottom of the pile. Like, there's no point daydreaming about, oh, I'd love to play Cleopatra or Sally Bowles or someone like that, because it might not be done in the time that you're the right age to play that part, or you might be already booked on another job. So unless you're a writer and you're generating your own work, I just think it's a pointless sort of, and also I try and then you're not enjoying what you're doing at the time, you know. Try not to live in the past and live in the future. You've got to try and just deal with every script that comes through the door.
What did your friends
and whether
think
it's
you were
right for
with?
you there and then, you know. If the Guilty had come straight after Corrie, I might not have fancied doing it. I don't know, I might have done, but it's all about the timing of something as well.
Yeah,
so there's no point kind of, and then when I was at the RSC at the age of 24, you know, I was like, oh, here I am. And I didn't even, you know, it wasn't even on my sort of like list of things to do. Because I don't really have a list of things to do. So Corrie was the same.
Yeah,
you know.
that's a really
And when it
interesting.
came along, it was just a 3-month part. So, and
Yes,
I was
that's true,
supposed to only be in it for 3 months because she was supposed to be so evil that she was going to go to a prison never to be seen again. And then they were like, oh, we want to bring you back, and for 6 months. And I went, oh, all right, then I'll do another 6 months because this character's actually quite interesting. It's quite surprised me.
I was amazed looking back at the awards that you picked up along the way. God, you know, extraordinary. Where are they all?
At my mum and dad's.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, I don't keep anything in my house that's anything to do with work.
Yeah.
I don't have any like posters or awards or.
Do you not?
I like to keep it really separate. Yeah,
That's
the only things that I've got that are like Darren, when we finished The Guilty, bought me it's a really sweet print of some Wellington boots, because there's quite a lot of focus on that in The Guilty about Karen's Wellington boots. But it's so sort of far removed. You won't walk into my house and think, oh, that's when she did The Guilty. It's just a really nice picture. But there's a few little things like that I know are linked to a job, but no one else. And in fact, they're linked more to the person that I've worked with.
Interesting.
But I like to keep it really separate. I don't want to be sat watching telly and then like just look and there's some awards. It makes me think about work.
Exactly. So the thing about The Guilty that struck me was looking at the cast is you're with two what people would know as comedy actors in a sense, you know. Is that a trick bit of casting? Am I missing something here?
No,
it's not tragicomic, is it?
I learnt long ago. My best friend's an actress called Meredith McNeil, who I trained at RADA with, and she is my. She blew me away. She's very, very funny actress, and she's known for things like Man Stroke Woman, Confetti. You know, she was there when she was here in this country. She's back in Canada at the moment, but when she was here, she was working with, you know, Miranda and Olivia Colman and Jessica Hines. That was all her set, and Amanda Abington.
Wow.
Meredith gave the most stunning performance I've ever seen when we were at drama school, and that was in a tragic play. And I learnt from that moment that the funniest actors are often, for me, for my money, the best tragic actors as well. So it just depends what someone gets known for. And yeah, Darren won a BAFTA for comedy, but I knew full well that he would be able to. I just think that's great that the producers, you know, thank goodness we've got such great producers with foresight that, you
Yeah.
know, everyone always worries about typecasting, but I don't think that exists really anymore.
Not really.
And
It doesn't seem to.
not in this country anyway.
No.
I think in America it's a lot more common.
Oh,
you
is
know.
it?
Yeah, I think so. People get known for one thing and then they find it hard to see them as somewhere else. But I think we really enjoy watching people play.
Yeah, that's
Play
quite.
different.
It's another layer, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'd seen Tamsin in Jumpy at the Royal Court, and I knew that. Yeah, I mean, it never even crossed my mind. I thought it was. I didn't even until today's interviews. I never even really clocked that they were both known as comedy actors. Isn't that
Yeah,
funny?
it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Natalie was saying there's a little bit of a sort of Scandi quality about this.
Oh, what?
A bit of Scandinavian drama quality, is that?
Oh, there's a vagueness to it,
Is it?
for sure. Yeah, which is what I kind of liked. Yeah, there's. It's not a sort of let's wrap it up in a bow and finish it off and put a sticker on it. You know, it's a lot kind of. I mean, there is a conclusion, and it's a satisfying conclusion. You know, it's not like you watch it and you think. You know, it's not like the end of The Sopranos when you feel cheated. Like, you know, you do think, oh, okay, that's what happened. But there is definitely there's no preachy element. There's no sort of goodies and baddies. There's no. It's just people. It's two women trying to find their sons really in very different ways. You know, Maggie's trying to find her son. She has him. You know, she has him physically. But mentally, she's trying to figure out, you know, where he's at and things. He's just started going to school and he's not ticking all the boxes. And is he on the spectrum of something or is he not? So she's trying to sort of get to the bottom of that really. And then Claire is in a more black and white, obvious way. You know, she's trying to. Well, sometimes she's trying to find out what happened to Callum, and then other times she's still trying to find out what happened to Callum, but it's a case of whether he's alive or dead. You know.
And the other thing I thought of was that there is a strange sort of parallel with the McCanns in a way. You know, this party, you know, you put your child or children to bed.
Yeah.
And then you got the parents, you know, eagerly getting onto the media to make sure they keep the
Although-
profile. Or is it?
Yeah, although
Is there any-
I read a lot of books, you know, I didn't just read the McCann book, and there is actually, I mean, that is a general sort of theme throughout, you know, that the child has to have been left at some point, you know, it's not a sort of snatch in front of your face and run. The thing is with the McCanns is that that's just the most high profile, isn't it, that we know of them
course,
all.
yeah.
And but yeah, sadly, I mean.
Did you read that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I wouldn't have read it otherwise. Just because, I mean, I find I've always found missing a really difficult thing to deal with. Like even as a child, you know, seeing pictures of like missing pets and things used to really upset me. My mum said, you know, I would be not right for the rest of the day, and so yeah, I mean, I found it. Yeah.
Did you find it quite upsetting to do this then?
Well, I'm not sort of. I don't take things home with me, and I can switch off the minute they shout cut. You know, I'm not kind of like that really. Physically, it takes its toll because.
Does it?
Well, yeah, because you're crying and you're upset for like 14 hours a day for a month, and so you know by week 3, and because you see because I was doing Mr. Selfridge, we had to pack everything into 4 weeks when actually the shoot was 6 weeks, but I couldn't do the full, so we had to sort of cram it all in, and it was no lunch breaks, and so your body's been crying, whether it's real or not. You know, you wake up and your face.
How do you get yourself out? You know, if I ask other people, how do you get yourself in that state? Is it easier to do it the more you act?
It's just a hope. Like you take a part because there's something in it that resonates with you, you know. And and for me, it's all about the homework really. And the homework's not particularly the learning the lines. It's, you know, I'm not a mum, and thankfully I've never had that happen to me or know someone directly that's happened to. So it's reading. I just read and read and read. The same as if something's set in a period, I'll read about that period, you know, and sort of things that are around, like colouring in really, sort of colouring in the gaps, so you never you don't feel a million miles away from it.
No.
So you feel like you can access it, and because by the time you're on set, it needs to be all at your fingertips, ready, good to go. You need to have like a colour palette.
That's quite a pressure, isn't it?
Well, there's no rehearsals as well, you know. You just well, yeah.
Has
but
it
that's
failed
why
you? Has
you've
it
got-
failed you, that technique ever that you?
No, I mean, I've always managed to serve something up. I'll always come up with something, you know, and no, I mean, you just try and make sure that there's enough things available to you, really. And for me, that's the homework. Because, you know, you're not, thankfully, I've not experienced it.
Yeah, did it make you think more about being a mother one day, or, you know, did it,
No.
I suppose it's a weird thing to
Mentally,
think
I
about
don't-
being motherhood, you know.
No, mentally I don't go there. What it did make me think about a lot more is this like underground thing of these paedophile rings. And even though actually our story is very quickly not about that, because we do find out that he has been murdered, so it is actually a case of finding. And also it's kind of clear that it's somebody that we know, because the body has been moved back to the cul-de-sac where we live, which is a clear indication of the fact that it's somebody in our midst. You know, it's not a kind of stranger. But yeah, it really made me feel like you know, we just don't have a face for this sort of evil. You know, like when you watch something about, you know, drugs being smuggled or you know, the terrible things that happen, because these sort of movies are made, and there's a image, it draws an image in your mind, whatever it is, of some drug lord or some sort of place where it's all happening and all this kind of stuff. Whereas with this industry that's going on, you know, with stealing children, that is absolutely going on, but we just pretend it's not happening. It's like the human race just can't deal with that, and therefore there is no image for that. So the image is inevitably the parents or the carer or the grandparent or whoever's been last with that child whose responsibility is, and actually they're the victim, and yet they just get everything, everything thrown at them, because there's no child anymore. You know, the child is gone.
But it makes me think about the April Jones case as well.
Yeah, it's just
because we didn't see a lot of the parents then, but I suppose the focus in that one was searching for the child. Is there any parallels there? I suppose is there a big search in this to look for the child?
There is, but it's so sort of
or it's
interweaved.
more a police investigation.
I mean, until I actually watch it back, I won't even really know kind of how that comes across myself. But it's not kind of like the first episode is when we have him, and the second episode is when he's missing, and the third episode it's all, and it's, you know, then there were even called flashbacks, because they're not kind of like flashbacks. They're just sort of things that the audience need to know to fill in the gaps. Do you know what I mean? They're not kind of like a character reliving something, or it's quite a sort of Scandinavian way of putting things together. So it's in telling. She's sort of telling the story in a different way. So,
and we've got lots of crime drama now that people seem to love. I mean, crime drama. I mean, they get great ratings. Why do you think suddenly we love them so much, or did we always? I mean,
yeah, I don't know, like The Killing, I guess, started it, didn't it, really, perhaps?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. I would imagine that, I mean, listen, this is like, you know, me just being a regular house buyer telling you what the property market's going to do. Like, I don't know. But my sort of speculation would be that, you know, much like myself, you think, oh, no, I'll do that. I haven't done that for a while. And I think, actually, you know, channels, you know, they look at what they're going to programme for that year, and they think, oh, we haven't had a crime drama for a while, oh, let's do that. But then the problem is everybody kind of thinks that at the same time, you know. That's why fashion begins, doesn't it? It's like wearing, as a woman, it's like turning up at a wedding and wearing the same dress, you know, because it's just...
Broadchurch was another example of something that absolutely took off.
That was, you know, that was commissioned by exactly the same person at ITV that commissioned this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's not, so obviously that tells you that it's different enough for it to be, you know. So Broadchurch was on while we were making this. It wasn't.
Was it?
It hadn't been on. It hadn't become the success that it was, you know. And so, you know, to me, like I said, I haven't even seen The Guilty yet, but it suggests to me that because it's not a rival channel and because it is the same commissioner, she obviously felt there was enough difference in the scripts for it to go on the same channel at the same time.
Well, I just think we want more and more of that, don't we, in a way?
Yeah. I mean, it seems to, And then we'll all think, oh, we haven't had, you know, stories.
We haven't had a nice romantic drama.
Yeah, and then next year we'll have romantic dramas all the time. It's just the way it goes, doesn't it? You know, when you kind of like, these things are predicted sort of 2 years in advance. That's what I've learned. You know, these things. Me arriving onto set is like just the dusting of the icing on the cake at the end. You know, the the cake mix began long before I was
Yeah.
anywhere.
And you mentioned, you know, travelling, sort of see your friends abroad and stuff like that. Do you ever think about going to America to work? Because that's a big draw for some people.
I've spent loads of time in LA. My sister's there, have a green card. Like it's very available.
Gosh, yeah,
to me.
it's that.
Yeah, but no, I mean, like I say, it just depends what comes up, I guess. And at the moment, you know, I'm really satisfied with everything that's coming up here. So no, I haven't. Like I said before, I don't think that far enough ahead. You know, I'm doing Mr. Selfridge till the end of the year, and then I'll have another big break, you know, over Christmas, and then we'll just see what comes up next year. There's a few things flitting around already, so we'll just see what
Domestic
hits. Different. Oh yeah, here.
Yeah, here.
There's one. I'm working with a couple of writers on a few things. So
Okay.
I'm not a writer, but you know, we're working on a few
That's
things.
interesting.
Yeah,
It's a
and a few
different way
production
to-
companies, and
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it just seems to be the way things are at the moment, and I'm, you know, all about. But I'm definitely not a writer. I know my own limits. But
So would you be developing a character within it?
I like
And
developing. Yeah, I like the development side of things. Yeah, for sure.